From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on LALATE.
We have a deal. Or do we not have a deal? It's LALATE at noontime, live from Santa Monica as the President of the United States announces a deal in the fourth stimulus package of 2021. But he actually doesn't have a deal. So what's going on here? And is there a bill? No, there's now 3 bills. And what happened about July? Well, it's not really July anymore with this president. What the world is going on? In this recording, I'll explain all the incredible details about what's going on, but it's all really great news for you. Fourth stimulus just heating up with that fourth stimulus check. That won't be in what he announced today. It's in something else. Oh, so confusing. But I'll make it very confusing across the board. Then we'll be cutting to fifth stimulus, which heats up this fall, that has another stimulus check. And we'll be cutting back to the big money that viewers are getting across the board. I'm going to figure out how to do this in 30 minutes or less. I don't think I will be able to, but I'll try my best. It's a big noontime. I need a salad or at least some $12 ice cream for this one. This is going to be one of those recordings where I say, how do I get this all done? But I'm going to try my best. And it's noontime, starting right now. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. How are you doing? It's noontime here on LALATE. On Morning's Crypto, just before the show, I told you the president had hatched a deal in the fourth stimulus package that I was going to break to you down all the developments in this recording. In this recording, there's going to be a lot going to go on, so I want you to stay with me, put your feet up, and this is not a time to be drinking because this is very confusing stuff. I'm going to try to make it as simple as for you. But first, how's the weather where you are? Because it's darn hot here. I'm getting very overheated because this is very complicated stuff, which I'm trying to figure out how to make easy and breezy and easy for you to follow. But how's the weather? Jump in the live chat and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. In this recording, we'll be going over why the president doesn't have a deal, that it's much a lot of pomp and circumstance, but really what happened today, and why is there now 3 bills? Yeah, not 2, 3, you heard me right. Why is it no longer July? And what is that thing he's doing today? What is that thing? I'll be explaining that as well. It's very, very complicated. It's even complicated for their level of complications, so I'm trying to make it easy for a viewer on the channel to understand as well. And I'll explain to you why the 9 voting steps have now been reversed and they're doing them in the reversed order. What? Yeah, a lot of strange things going on, but this is LA. The 24 hours, 7 days a week financial news channel, the only one in America, live across the board in the morning, like this broadcast that is a breaking news report right now. And then I'm back with you this afternoon. Now, here's a programming note. Afternoons LALATE was taped before this announcement. Evenings LALATE was not taped. So Afternoons LALATE was taped before today's development. So don't come into the chat and say, yeah, you know something more than I know. Yeah, because it was taped earlier today. So make sure you subscribe. 400,000 subscribers on YouTube, a record in 1 year. Next up, 1 million. Thank you for the last few days for being the biggest days of subscriber growth. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's cut to the big developing details that you need to know starting right off the board. Is anything changed for fourth stimulus check as of the moment? It is not. It's just in a different place and its routing time may be different. So let me go over what we always knew about with fourth stimulus check and the 2 proposals. And let me put them in the context of what just happened minutes ago so you understand how it's getting modified. There's a House bill and a Senate proposal. Let's go over the calculations starting right now and how the developing details, which you're going to hear right after this, changes some of this analysis. The House bill provides a $2,000 stimulus check for the first month and $1,000 thereafter. The Senate proposal, the amount is unknown, but let's first go over how many checks are at issue. The monthly checks would start in the month of that the bill becomes law and continue for pandemic plus 1 year for the House members. The senators would run the check from July to December, we initially thought. But you're going to see in this recording that July, yes, put your feet down, may be out of the consideration at this point. It may be looking more like August. So you're going to see in a second why July may no longer be on tap for these senators. They may be looking at August. Let's look at those monthly payouts. House versus Senate. So House is talking about $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter. Senators, the monthly amount is unknown, but word on the street is it's this. Wow, now that is wonderful news. $2,000 a month over 6 months, $12,000. Or $1,400 a month over 6 months, $8,400. If you're in the live chat, get ready to vote House or Senate in view of also the breaking news you're going to hear in a second. Which one do you like? But here's a spoiler. You're going to have to vote for Senate. I'll explain to you why. And you're going to have to really be on top of the senators. I'll explain to you why. And it's not just me that's saying it. It's also Chuck Schumer. So the pandemic may be considered over for purposes of legislation. And so the House bill may be reduced to just 1 year of stimulus checks, which over the Paul's bill amounts to $13,000. Compared to the senators over 6 or 5 months, is this? Wow, I think you have an opinion. Jump in the live chat, Senator House. Tell me who you like and where you're tuning in from, and how's the weather? Is it less hot than where I am, where it's really heating up, where I'm trying to figure out how to break this all down for you? All right, who gets the fourth stimulus check? That has not changed. A fourth stimulus check, Democrats would give everyone who got a third stimulus check a fourth stimulus check. So single individuals, $75,000 or less, you get a fourth stimulus check. Married couple, $150,000 or less, you get a fourth stimulus check. Double it. Family of 4, you get a fourth stimulus check. Quadruple it. And if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or railroad benefits, the Democrats would give you a fourth stimulus check. The fourth stimulus check is not income, so it's not taxable. And the fourth stimulus check is a monthly check. It's not waivable. So if you're at the salad bar and you see the stimulus check trying the Caesar salad, and you see a toss and say, "Hey, check, what's going on? You like that Caesar? What about that Biden plan?" And the check doesn't respond back. Rude check. Wish you toss your own salad. Don't think it's a rude check. It's just a vegetarian. It's just a vegetarian check. It's not rude. And there you go. The Democrats represent they would give you the fourth stimulus check starting in the month of August. Yeah, maybe not July anymore. You can see that why in a second. And that you would get that check starting in the month of July or August, continuing thereafter. They had represented the vote will be done by July 4th, as of just yesterday. But let's see what they're saying now. And there you go. That is your first of your 3 parts of your fourth stimulus check updated 2021. In the second part of this video, we're going to go over fifth stimulus that heats up this fall with the raise up of your benefits lifetime and why those raise ups are so wonderful. And the big exciting news about a fifth stimulus check. Normally at this part of the recording, you would hear me go right into the big money I can get you thousands of dollars. But I want to get into the breaking news about what happened for fourth stimulus minutes ago. So let me slow it down for you. And trust me, this is my first attempt of making something very complicated simple for you. So let me see if I can make it simple for you. We had always understood that this was going to go by a reconciliation process. The reconciliation process involves 2 bills, the procedural bill and the substantive bill. I've done enough recordings on that I think that's clear at this point. The procedural bill just basically says when are they voting, how are they voting. The substantive bill is very simple. We also always understood that the substantive bill for the reconciliation would start in the subcommittees, and those subcommittees of the House would take leadership on it, that each subject would be delegated to a sub-House committee, that they're currently working on that language that they're dedicated to work on, like House and Ways and Means is dedicated for stimulus checks, and that when they're finished for it, then they call it for a vote in their subcommittee, which could result in about 10 pages of context or maybe 100 pages of text. When they're finished, they send those provisions up to Nancy, the Speaker of the House. They combine all the subcommittees in the House's documents into what is one bill, and that House votes on the one bill. You followed that on me. That has been step 5 of our 9-step voting process. Bills over the last almost 2 years have always started in the House, gone to the Senate. You've seen that on this channel. And you also heard from me that Chuck Schumer for third stimulus earlier this year, and clearly for fourth stimulus, was doing the following: having his Senate subcommittees work with his House subcommittees on getting it done so that when the bill landed back in the Senate, it wouldn't go to Senate subcommittees. So what happened minutes ago? What happened minutes ago is the president, Chuck, and Nancy last night came to an agreement that based upon their polling of Democrats, they could only pass all of fourth stimulus. And I'm referring to all as literally everything. All fourth stimulus by doing it in 3 bills. Not just recon, which is 2 bills, but recon procedural, recon substantive, and another bill. Why? Because, let me see if I can explain this simply, that certain Democrats did not like certain things in the recon, and they wanted them in the 3rd bill. And they wouldn't give support, a vote in favor of the recon, unless the stuff was put into the 3rd bill. I think I made that pretty simple. Who are those people? Democratic senators. So Chuck Schumer, who has been very good in really giving us clarity about what's going on, because a lot of this is just very vague that comes from the president. Very, 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 very vague, like ridiculously vague. Chuck Schumer has given us good detail. Chuck Schumer issued a very good sentence, which was this statement: we, Democrats, would not get enough Senate votes to pass either unless we had to pass both of these 3 items. Now, there's 2 ways to call them. You can call them as 3 bills: procedural, recon, substantive recon, or you can call it, and then the 3rd bill, or you can just call it reconciliation and the bipartisan. However you want to refer to it. For purpose of clarity going forward, let me just call it reconciliation and the bipartisan bill. The reconciliation, which has 2 bills, procedural and substantive, and the bipartisan bill. Chuck Schumer's statement was, we do not have enough Senate Democrats to pass anything unless we did bipartisan bill at the same time we also do a recon bill. Basically, you had to do 2 bills at the same time: recon substantive, recon procedural, and bipartisan bill. He said, I don't have enough votes from my Democrats unless I did it this way. If I just did recon, he said I was going to lose. I wasn't going to get enough Democrat votes. And if I just did bipartisan, I wasn't going to get enough Democrat votes. Why? Let me just explain why. The bipartisan bill is too small. It's like this. It's ridiculous. And so immediately Democratic senators came out and said, I'm not voting for that junk over there. That's just, there's nothing there. On the other hand, the reconciliation is very large. And if you put everything into the reconciliation, there were other Democrats saying, that's too large. I'm not going to agree to all that in recon. I will not vote if you put that all in recon. So the only way they can get agreement from their Democratic senators, potentially, and you hear me say that word a lot on this channel going forward, is if they put some in the recon and some in the bipartisan. Okay, so far you've heard me talk a lot about senators. Why have you not heard me talk about House members and Nancy's group? Here is another big surprise in the last few minutes. The announcement from Chuck, the announcement from the White House's press secretary, and the announcement from the president is that they're going to start in the Senate, not start in the House, meaning that they're going to start to ensure that they can pass both of these things in the Senate before they go to the House. The reason they think they have no problem passing the Senate in the House because they have enough votes. They are worried that they don't know if they have enough votes to do this in the Senate. So translation at the 14-minute mark of this video, the president just came out and he stood on the front lawn of the White House, and he had Mitt Romney behind him and Kristen Sinema. He says, "I have a deal." Does he have a deal? No. Does he have a signed bill? No. Is there a bill? No. Is there 3 bills? No. Does the Senate have a deal? No. Does the Senate have senators voted? No. When are they going to, do they have anything? No. All they have at the moment is the president has an informal agreement with himself and 6 or 7 people that he met with as to what's going in the bipartisan bipartisan legislation, which has not yet been written. Let me say that again. What is this deal the president's proclaiming to have? He has a gentleman's agreement as to what would tentatively be in the bipartisan legislation when it's written. That is it. He does not have approval of the legislation. He does not have enough votes confirmed for the legislation, and he may not get enough votes for the legislation. We don't know yet. So now now that you know where we are, let me separate so you understand where the legislations are. This is one of those times where you really want to use an emoji. It's not bill yet. First of all, it's not bill yet. It's not law yet. But I think we're going to need a new emoji. It's the wrong bill. I just sense we're going to need an emoji because I'm sensing over the next 2 weeks there's going to be people that jump in the live chat and say, that bill, you're afraid of the wrong bill. Because now we got 2 bills to deal with. 2 processes with 3 bills. We have the bipartisan bill. We have the recon that has 2 bills, recon procedural, recon substantive. There's going to be people who are going to jump in the live chat and they're going to talk about the bipartisan agreement. That's roads and bridges. So let me show you where everything is. The bipartisan agreement is really nuts and bolts. It's roads and bridges, roads and bridges, roads and bridges. Where's climate? Where's CARES economy? Where's stimulus checks? Recon. Where is roads and bridges? Roads and bridges, bipartisan. So the Republicans, of course, were not going to give you stimulus checks. They're, of course, not going to give him climate, and they're, of course, not going to give him anything bipartisan, anything progressive, like climate or CARES economy. That's not in there. It's over here. So this is why it's very, very important to understand where things are. I know this may be a lot to digest. I mean, imagine we're only 16 minutes in this video. I feel like I've written a 10-page novel already. All right, so as if that's not complicated, and it's hard to be on air, not gauge whether the people in the live chat are following it so far. But here, let's make it even more confusing, is the process. First, I tried to explain to you where things are. Now I'm going to try to explain to you how the process is now going to be different. Not my doing. This is all their idea. Their worry was that the problem is what senators want. And so what they're going to do is start in the Senate for both the bipartisan agreement and also start in the Senate for the recon, not in the House, because they don't know if they have enough votes to pass both of them. And they're not passing one unless they pass both of them. I don't know how they envision doing this. Trust me, I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense to me how they can think that they can pass 2 bills at the same time and make sure one passes and the other one passes also. It just sounds like a setup. It's sort of like I'll do the bipartisan bill first, and then after that, the other one falls apart, or the other one goes first, and then the bipartisan falls apart. I don't know, but they think they have a way to do it. They haven't explained how they think they're going to do this. The bipartisan agreement is going to. This is the way they're going to do the voting process. This is a direct quote from Chuck, and I want you to listen to the phrasing of the sentence, because trust me, there's clearly a certain phrase in the sentence. Before I read the sentence, I'm going to repeat to you again. Leader Schumer and Speaker Pelosi have no less than 24 times said to you that the whole recon process would be done by July 4th and approved by July 4th. They said it last week. They said the week before. They said it almost a dozen times. Not me. I'm not Chuck. I'm not Nancy. I have a better hairstyle. I'm not there. That's their statement over and over again. Here's Chuck Schumer's statement minutes ago. When the Senate returns in July, it will be time to take the next step and hold the first votes on the bipartisan bill on the floor of the Senate. Senators should also be prepared to consider a budget reconciliation that'll clear the way for the budget reconciliation as soon as possible. What does that mean? And what happened? Did the camera go dead? The camera go dead? I don't know. What's going on? Everything's sort of locking up. I see you, you see me. What's going on? So I don't know. Can you see me? I see a frozen image of me at the moment. Let me go into the live chat and see what's going on. Do you see me, or do you see a frozen image of my face? Not quite clear what is going on. Let's jump into the live stream. Yeah, you see a frozen image of me. Yeah, I froze. What is he reading? I don't know. The camera froze. So for the as if I don't think the camera likes what Chuck is saying either. So what I'm going to do is you won't see my you won't see my face for the rest of the recording. I'm going to go over what Chuck is saying here. So what Chuck is saying here is that I'm definitely frozen. I don't know. So for clarity, you're not going to see my face for a little while because something happened to the camera. I completely froze up. What Chuck is saying here is that the way he's going to handle the voting is the following. The Senate, when it returns in July, will hold votes on the bipartisan infrastructure bill on the floor of the Senate. Let's deal with that sentence. That sentence by itself sounds like the bipartisan bill will not be voted on before July 4th. Now, does that concern you? No. Is there stimulus checks in the bipartisan bill? In the bipartisan bill? No. Is there anything in the bipartisan bill for us? No. That's not our bill. Our bill is the recon bill. So his next sentence is, senators should also be prepared to consider a budget recon that'll clear the way for the budget reconciliation as soon as possible. Okay, so is as soon as possible now, which is when they should be doing it, or is it another time? Not particularly clear at the moment, but what appears to be the case is that Schumer thinks that the infrastructure bill can be done in July. That's fine. But is the recon being, when he says as soon as possible, does that mean now? By all account, it suggests that the recon is being done now, which is fine for you. But here's the issue, is that the other parts of the quotes from Schumer, Pelosi, and the president suggest they won't pass one before the other one is ready to pass at the same time. So the only thing that is negative in today's announcement is the timing. It doesn't look like they're trying to get the recon done by the time they initially promised of July 4th. If we read the other sentence, let me read back that other sentence from Schumer. Schumer's sentence is the following, that we won't get enough votes to pass either unless we have enough votes to pass both. It is basically saying you have to pass both of the bills at the same time. So when is that time? His sentences are very, very unclear at the moment. So the press secretary said the following today. Pelosi actually said the following today. There is not going to be an infrastructure bill unless we have a reconciliation bill passed by the Senate. House and Senate Democrats are united in that we in the House are not bringing it to the floor unless both bills pass in the Senate. Okay, so this is huge for you as well, because Pelosi is basically saying the problem is with the senators. The senators can't get their act together. We're leaving the senators to vote on both the bill, both the fourth stimulus and the bipartisan bill at the same time. Then we'll take it back to the House. Not particularly helpful because a lot of the progressives are in the House. Now, does the White House have a deal from any senators? A lot of the reports already out the door say this is falling apart very quickly because the senators are being upset that he's trying to splinter off that one section into bipartisan to make recon smaller. Here's some of the comments. Senator Richard Blumenthal, way too small, paltry, pathetic. Elizabeth Warren, we have to have the whole thing, not just cleave off a piece of it. Okay, so if you hear Warren's comment, she's basically saying, I'm not going to do two halves to make a whole. I will only do a whole. Blumenthal's comment makes it sound like he doesn't want to do two halves or two parts. I want to do a whole. How many people are in favor and how many people are so far against? There are currently 21 senators, 11 Republicans and 10 Democrats who support this two-path process, but they need a lot more of the whole of the whole Senate to get this done. And can they get it done across the board? The issue also is that the pay-for-alls was a big question across the board. Oh, and now the camera went out? Something else went out? How many things are going out today? There we go. It's one of those things where a lot of things are going out. Let's just try something for a second here. I don't know. Well, at least we got something. So the fascinating parts so far and the takeaways are the following. That we are going to have, at the moment, two paths across the board. We're going to have a bipartisan bill, which we will call as, did we lose audio now? Let's see, did we lose audio? Oh, no. All right, there we go. The issue at the moment is that we have two parts that are having one path. And let me recap so you understand if you're just joining into this breaking news report at noontime to understand what's going on. The President of the United States about 20 minutes ago announced that he had a deal. He does not have a deal. Does he have senators' agreement? He does not have senators' agreement. He has some senators. Is it one bill? It is not one bill. So what is going on? Let's recap. The President of the United States has decided with Pelosi and Schumer that they do not have enough Democrats to do the whole recon as just recon, that they have to take out some of the recon in it to add a third bill that would be called the bipartisan bill. Recon has two bills, the substantive recon and the procedural recon. And then there is a second path, which is the bipartisan bill. The recon is where the stimulus checks would be. The recon is where the climate would be. The recon is where the CARES economy would be. The recon is where all the progressive policies will be. The infrastructure bill, or otherwise called the bipartisan agreement, is where the real infrastructure is. It's the roads, bridges, and also the nuts and bolts. That is where that is going to be located. If that sounds peculiar, it is peculiar. The next thing that we're learning at noontime is that the process will involve a start in the Senate, not in a start in the House. We haven't seen this in many, many years. All our legislation has always started in the House, gone over the Senate. So we're going to start in the Senate and come back to the House. The final thing that is lack of clarity because of choice of words from Schumer is the suggestion that the Senate will only deal with the infrastructure after the July break or the bipartisan bill, and that the recon should be ready to go as soon as possible. So does that recon mean between now and July 4th? Potentially, yes. But would the recon result in something definitive by July 4th? Hard to tell from Schumer's comments. At the moment, it's so few words, I don't want to say one thing or the other just yet. Finally, as we go back to understand what could be happening and how anything could be changing on our court, is anything modified just yet? No, your checks were always going to be in the recon. Your checks were never going to be in this bipartisan agreement. Number two, your checks were always going to be a progressive policy. The progressive policies the president wants are also in the recon, like climate, like also the CARES economy. That's all great news as well. The progressives are also watching your back, like Elizabeth Warren, slamming this right away, saying, I don't like this, and you better not try to take away my progressive ideas because I want some progressive stuff in this policy. That's all clear as well. What is not clear is time and direction. We were always told we would be done with this by July 4th and checks would go out in the month of July. It's hard to tell from Chuck Schumer's statement right now if that's no longer the case, if we're looking at mid-July for later July, or what's really going on at the moment. At the moment, no one's saying August, but they're now saying after we come back from break, we'll take up the bipartisan bill, bipartisan agreement, which is not the substantive one. It's important to understand there's a lot of things going on. With that, let me cut back to fifth stimulus. The fifth stimulus is really heating up. And I'll have more about those fifth stimulus items and how to get big money across the board coming up after this commercial break. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And it's a big afternoon starting right here on a day in which we're dealing with some technical problems, but we're trying to get over them as well. Boy, what an exciting day it is as the White House announces a major twist in the fourth stimulus package passed. Let's go over what you need to know starting this noontime right here. Minutes ago, the White House announced that a deal had been reached. And immediately when I announced that statement on air during Morning's Crypto, I immediately said, I expected people to jump in the live chat and say, the bill, the thing, the that, the this. And I immediately said, when there's a difficult, complicated process, people are going to come in and try to make it simple and incorrect. And immediately, some people in the live chat are doing it right now. Here's what you need to know at noontime. First, there will be now 2 bills in the fourth stimulus package. Those 2 bills in the fourth stimulus package will be the following. Bill number 1, a bipartisan agreement which will involve infrastructure like roads and bridges. Number 2, the reconciliation bill, which will have all the progressive policies, the policies Republicans don't want Americans to have, the stimulus checks, the climate, the CARES economy, and those items. The other thing is that the Democrats have made very clear that in polling their Democratic caucus, they can only pass it when they do the 2 things together. The only thing that remains uncertain at the moment at noontime is the timing, as Chuck Schumer made indication that they're going to be taking up the infrastructure or the bipartisan agreement shortly after the July break, but that they should be ready to do the recon vote as soon as possible. Does that mean the recon will go first, or will they actually go together? Meantime, fifth stimulus is heating up as well. A lot of exciting details with fifth stimulus, as Jerome Powell announced a major set of details about that fifth stimulus that are absolutely wonderful. What's at issue? Jerome Powell announced that by December, inflation will reach its highest price point of the year. That inflation point will be spurred because of the GDP growth and also because of other items across the board, like reemployment that Powell says. How big will this be for your benefits? Let's go over all the details across the board. Fifth stimulus involves a lot of wonderful things. First, It'll raise up your benefit limits, then remove the asset limit, add an inflationary benchmark, then remove the income exclusion and remove the marriage penalty. How does this work? Basically, they're first going to raise up your benefits a lifetime. That is, if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, or veterans benefits, or survivor benefits. Then they'll apply a new benchmark. That new benchmark, is inflation. But how high will that inflation rate be, and when will it hit its height? The great news from Powell is that it's going to reach its height in around December. This is wonderful news because your benefits will step up to that rate. They never step down. Of the three things we've wanted is for FIST stimulus is that step up at a high rate. Second, we want it to reach its highest rate in December. And third, we want the bill to actually pass FIST stimulus. Now we have the big key from Powell, as FIST stimulus will actually see that step up to its highest interest rate around the time that they buy the benchmark. That's wonderful news because let's say the inflation rate is 10%. Your benefits will step up 10% a lifetime, not just for next year. Next, they're going to remove the income cap, dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. They're going to remove the asset cap, dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't stay on benefits and also have more than $3,000 on hand, just in time to get those stimulus checks. And finally, they're going to remove the marriage penalty, which penalizes you from getting married. Viewers like Rob and Sandy will no longer fear the marriage penalty and will be able to get married. And there you go. FIST stimulus also has the incredible add-on from the president of additional $1 billion for budgeting being provided to Americans on benefits to ensure that the third, fourth, and fifth stimulus checks go out on time. But what else is in third stimulus? And what else is in fourth and fifth stimulus? Consider becoming a member. The link is at the top of the chat in the pinned comment of this video so you see all the details and don't miss anything across the board. Let's recap now with what you should anticipate going forward on fourth stimulus into this evening. As recorded early, as put forward early in this recording, Afternoons LALATE was recorded before the major announcement, but Evenings LALATE will have all the breaking details tonight. At issue is the following. The White House does not have a deal and has not formulated a bill, but has actually agreed upon a path and a timeline. So what is the path and what is the timeline? Let me go over all the details with you one last time. The path and the timeline involves two items. It involves two separate legislation that is yet to be written, starting at a place that it no longer usually starts. The two items will be the bipartisan agreement, aka the infrastructure bill, roads and bridges, and then the reconciliation bill, aka stimulus checks, CARES economy, and also climate. They will both start in the Senate, not the House. A big surprise, because they think that the big problem is that senators can't agree on stuff, and they don't know what will happen from it. They think that senators, when you split this into two parts, they'll get enough votes. That's why they're doing this. Why? To get it to the finish line, not to derail it. What's at issue? Senators that are in the Democrats, when polled, said that they would not support all of it together in recon because some of them, they said, has to go by bipartisanship. Other senators, on the other hand, said they would not agree to go into a smaller bipartisan agreement only because it's just a paltry offer. So, and to appease both parts of the Democratic caucus, they're doing two separate bills, of which one bill has two parts. They're doing a bipartisan agreement, which has roads and bridges, and they're doing the reconciliation, which has two bills, the procedural recon and the substantive recon. And with that, thank you for joining me on a big noontime. I apologize for all the technical difficulties. The reason why you didn't see me on air after about the 10-minute mark was the camera locked up, but at least you had the audio. I join you next with Evenings LALATE tonight, presuming that all the technical difficulties are solved. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and consider becoming a member. Next up is Afternoons LALATE, which was taped before the major announcement. And then we go into Evenings LALATE and then Overnight's Crypto. Stay informed, stay focused, stay positive, and stay with LA for more.